The Once Upon a Wartime exhibition focuses on some great children's books about war, and it really takes you through the 20th century. So you start with Michael Morpurgo's War Horse, which of course is so famous through the stage play and through Spielberg's recent film. Here we've got an exhibit actually from the Spielberg film, which has been loaned to the exhibition. This is a jacket worn by the main human character in the film, played by the actor Jeremy Irvine. And here we've got the trailer to the film. You can probably hear voices in the background, and this is an extract from the novel prepared by members of the Oldham Youth Theatre. We've moved on from War Horse and the First World War into the Second World War and Nina Borden's much-loved children's book Carrie's War, which tells of the evacuation of a young girl and her younger brother to Wales. There they're lodged with somebody who's rather fierce, Mr. Evans, who has very strict rules, but they find a refuge in a nearby farmhouse in the kitchen of a woman called Hepzibah Green. And of course, though they were used to rationing, Hepzibah, living in the country, her table was still groaning with good food. Carrie's War, of course, told of children away from the fighting in the safety of Wales. But I'm standing now in a specially constructed dugout that children are going to love exploring in the exhibition. It's built by characters in Robert Westall's The Machine Gunners. They actually find a machine gun on a crashed German plane, and they take it, and they're determined that when the invasion comes, which they think is going to happen soon, then they'll be ready for the invaders coming in over the northeast coast with their machine gun mounted. You can see the boys and one girl, Audrey, have made this very much at home. They've got comics pasted on the wall. A book that's been read by many classes over many generations in schools is Ian Serralia's The Silver Sword. This is a book that focuses upon another kind of experience that children had to endure during that Second World War. It is about refugees from the city of Warsaw, which is bombed and is under terrible threat. And these children are separated from their parents, who they learn have gone to the safety of Switzerland at the other end of Europe. So what they do, as this lovely map shows, is beginning here in Warsaw, their journey takes them all across until finally they end up with their parents in Switzerland. This is a very early book about the war, written in the 1950s, but it makes particularly interesting reading because you do see a different attitude towards what it's okay to tell children and what it isn't okay to tell children. When you come to the last book, Bernard Ashley's Little Soldier, then it's much tougher, it's much more abrasive. The guns in Bernard Ashley's story really will kill people. And indeed, this is one of the guns that really will kill people, because this tells a story of war in Africa and one of the child soldiers. So this time children are not mere puppets in this, they are active participants. When we were designing this exhibition, of course it focuses on actual books, but really many children of my age, because I was a small boy during wartime, we didn't really come across the war in our reading in books because so few books were published. But this is how I first came across it, in the comics of the day, The Rover, the Wizard, the Hotspur and the Adventure. The Skipper was another one that actually had to stop because of shortage of paper. In each of the rooms relating to the large novels, they're almost invisible, you have to look rather carefully. You can find a small telephone, and I've just picked this one up. We're in Robert Westall's The Machine Gunners. Now, if I start listening to this, I'm actually hearing the voice of Robert Westall talking about his own novel. So if you come to this exhibition, it's well worth looking out for these telephones and listening to the author talking directly to you. Lastly, I would like to show you this. I think it's particularly fascinating. This little wooden dog was carved by a German prisoner of war and given to a young girl from the farm where he was working as a prisoner of war. Now, Michael Morpurgo, the very famous writer of War Horse, saw this when the exhibition was being prepared a while ago and immediately said, there's a good story in that little dog. And he has written a novel called Little Manfred, and it actually features this little dog who ends up in an exhibition called Once Upon a Wartime.